The Muad'Dib is ready to conquer the box office. Director Denis Villeneuve's hugely anticipated Dune, Part 2 debuted globally this week, on the back of massively positive buzz following several months of delay. And after generating $12 million from Thursday previews, the epic space opera sequel is estimated to have grossed around $32 million on day one of release domestically. This puts Dune, Part 2 on the path to grossing just under $80 million in its first weekend, which is roughly double the $41 million that the first Dune generated in its opening weekend back in 2021. Dune was famously released concurrently on the streaming service formerly known as HBO Max, leading to friction between Villeneuve and Warner Brothers. But the studio is pulling out all the stops for Dune, Part 2, premiering the film across the globe, arranging super early screenings for the press, and weaponizing its star-studded cast in a marketing overdrive. Dune, Part 2 opened in select international territories earlier this week and is entering its first weekend with a $43 million overseas haul from more than 70 markets. Dune, Part 2 has been particularly successful in the IMAX format, with around a dozen locations across the globe presenting it in 70mm IMAX film. Produced on a reported budget of $190 million, Dune, Part 2 has been hailed as one of the best sequels of all time. The film holds a 94% approval rating on the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, in addition to earning an A Cinema score from opening day audiences. Collider's Therese Laxon wrote in her review that, while Part 2 is impressive on multiple fronts, it doesn't make it to the finish line without stumbling first. Dune, Part 2 isn't the only member of the top 5 that overtly deals with faith. Starring Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, alongside an esteemed ensemble, Dune, Part 2 completes Villeneuve's two-part adaptation of Frank Herbert's seminal novel, which follows the Messiah-like Paul Atreides on his journey into the heart of darkness and absolute corruption. Dune 2 also features franchise newcomers Austin Butler and Florence Pugh, easily two of the most promising young stars of their generation. While a lot would depend on this film's success, word of a possible third film is already doing the rounds. Elsewhere, the holdover hit Bob Marley, One Love slipped to the number 2 spot after topping the weekend box office twice. The music biopic added $1.9 million on its third Friday, taking its running domestic total to nearly $80 million. One Love was followed by The Chosen, whose 4th season is being presented theatrically in batches of episodes. The previous 2 installments, which were released last month, grossed a combined total of $22 million. The 4th spot went to yet another faith-based offering, Ordinary Angels, while the top 5 was rounded out by Sony's Madam Web, which is quickly evaporating from theaters. Stay tuned to Collider for more updates.